In a distant land, under the rule of a powerful king, a story unfolded that would change the fate of an entire nation. This is the story of Esther. Long ago, in the vast Persian Empire, there ruled a mighty king named Xerxes. His kingdom stretched across many lands, filled with wealth, power, and glory. One day, the king held a great feast, inviting nobles and leaders from all over his empire. It was a celebration of pride and power. During the feast, the king commanded his queen, Vashti, to appear before the guests so they could admire her beauty. But Queen Vashti refused. The king was furious. In his anger, he removed her from being queen. And so a search began throughout the empire for a new queen. In the city of Susa lived a young Jewish girl named Esther. She had lost her parents at a young age and was raised by her cousin Mordecai. Esther was kind, humble, and beautiful. When the king's officials searched for women to bring to the palace, Esther was taken, along with many others. Before she left, Mordecai told her, "Do not reveal that you are a Jew." Days turned into months as the women prepared to meet the king. And when Esther finally stood before him, something was different. She found favor in his eyes. Out of all the women, the king chose Esther. He placed the royal crown on her head, and she became queen. Meanwhile, Mordecai sat at the king's gate. One day, he overheard two men plotting to assassinate the king.
Mordecai quickly sent word to Esther, and Esther informed the king. The plot was stopped, and the king's life was saved. But Mordecai was not rewarded at that time. Not yet. Soon after, a man named Haman rose to power in the kingdom. The king honored him above all others. Everyone was commanded to bow before Haman. Everyone except Mordecai. Mordecai refused to bow. This made Haman furious. When he learned that Mordecai was a Jew, his anger grew even deeper. But he did not stop with Mordecai. Haman devised a wicked plan to destroy all the Jews in the empire. He went to the king and convinced him to issue a decree. On a chosen day, all Jews would be killed and their possessions taken. The decree was sent throughout the empire. When Mordecai heard this, he was filled with grief. He tore his clothes and mourned deeply. He sent a message to Esther, urging her to go to the king and beg for mercy for her people. But Esther was afraid. There was a law. Anyone who approached the king without being summoned could be put to death. And Esther had not been called to the king for 30 days. She sent word back to Mordecai, explaining the danger. Then Mordecai replied with words that would echo through history. Do not think that because you are in the king's house, you alone will escape. If you remain silent at this time, help will come from somewhere else, but you and your family will perish. And who knows but that you have come to your royal position for such a time as this. Those words stirred something deep within her. Esther made a decision. She sent this message back. Go, gather all the Jews and fast for me. Do not eat or drink for 3 days. I and my attendants will do the same. Then I will go to the king, even though it is against the law.
And if I perish, I perish. After 3 days of fasting, Esther put on her royal robes and stood in the inner court of the palace. The king sat on his throne. It was a moment of life or death. When the king saw Esther, he was pleased. He held out his golden scepter, allowing her to approach. She was safe. The king asked, "What is it, Queen Esther? What is your request?" But instead of answering immediately, Esther invited the king and Haman to a banquet. At the banquet, the king again asked her request. Still, Esther waited. She invited them to a second banquet the next day. That night, something unexpected happened. The king could not sleep, so he ordered the records of his reign to be read. As they read, they came across the story of how Mordecai had saved the king's life. The king asked, "What honor has been given to Mordecai for this?" The answer was simple. Nothing has been done.
At that very moment, Haman entered the court. He had come to ask the king for permission to execute Mordecai. But before he could speak, the king asked him, "What should be done for the man the king delights to honor?" Thinking the king meant him, Haman suggested a grand reward: royal robes, a royal horse, and a public parade. The king smiled and said, "Do exactly as you have said. For Mordecai." Haman was shocked. The man he hated was now being honored by his own plan. The next day, at the second banquet, the king once again asked Esther her request. This time, she spoke. "If I have found favor in your eyes, O king, spare my life and the lives of my people." The king was confused. Who would do such a thing? Esther answered boldly, "The enemy is this wicked Haman." The king was filled with anger. Haman's evil plan was exposed, and the punishment he had prepared for Mordecai became his own fate. Haman was executed. Mordecai was elevated and honored in his place. A new decree was issued, allowing the Jews to defend themselves. On the appointed day, instead of destruction, the Jews experienced victory. What was meant for evil was turned into triumph. And so Esther, a young orphan girl, became a queen who saved her people. Her courage changed history. Her faith brought deliverance. And her story reminds us, sometimes we are placed exactly where we are for a reason, for a moment, for a purpose, for such a time as this.